Good day, my name is Sky, and I appreciate you spending some study time with me. I'm here to help you make money in online poker by teaching you key strategies and getting you to take action. So today's podcast is inspired by true events in my own life right now. So for November of 2023, I'm doing a 10,000 hand challenge at 10NL on Ignition Poker. Now, I've been playing a ton of poker, and I have found that when I do not warm up prior to the session, I play much worse poker. When I warm up, take a look at some notes, maybe do a hand reading exercise, I play so much better. So that's what this podcast is about. It's called Great Sessions Begin with Great Warm-Ups, and we're going to get to it right now. To help you take notes first, though, go to smartpokerstudy.com/pod464 for the show notes page. Let's do this. Gambate!
Everybody just stay calm. I can handle this, no problem. I know how to deal.
License and registration, please.
What seems to be the officer problem?
So most players don't warm up their poker minds before playing their sessions. But why is that? Now, my guess is it's because most of us play for small stakes, and we probably see poker as just a game. You don't warm up prior to playing like Monopoly or Clue, right? Plus, we don't have coaches pushing us to play our best, no team of players to warm up with, nor do we even have fans or a boss to disappoint with our play. We're just playing the game of poker for ourselves. However, I would argue that for those of us taking it seriously, for all of you listening to this podcast right now, poker is probably more than just a game. You have money on the line, and your decisions directly impact how much you earn or lose in every session that you play. Now, the more you earn, the more you'll enjoy this game, and the longer you'll remain a player. The more you lose, the more mentally and financially difficult it is to stick around in the game of poker. Outside of poker, anybody who takes their performance seriously warms up prior to the big game, like NASCAR drivers, for example. They visualize every twist and every turn of a race before that starter flag is even waved. Presentation speakers, they go through their slideshow, practice it dozens of times, they ensure all their cue cards are in order too before they walk up on stage. Now, basketball players, they take shots and they run passing drills to get that muscle memory fired up, to get their bodies physically warmed up, but also to get their teamwork on point. And comedians, they run through their sets over and over in their mind, probably on the way to the club and then when they're backstage in the green room as well. So if we want to excel in poker, we've got to do the same. Warm-ups get you in a positive poker mindset, they focus you on the strategies that you want to work on, and they help you control your emotions and avoid tilt, and maybe, best of all, they allow you to play longer sessions more effectively and profitably. So I want to give you my simple and effective two-part warm-up. Part 1 right here, this is non-negotiable, you cannot not do this, and that is ditch the distractions. So distractions hurt your ability to focus on the action, to make good reads, and to make good money-making plays. Now, everyone's different, obviously, right? But you know what distracts you the most. So whatever it is, turn it off, put it away, get it out of your playing space. Maybe it's like TikTok, Instagram. Maybe you're watching YouTube videos as you play, and that's distracting. Maybe you're watching Netflix or SportsCenter on ESPN. Whatever it is, that thing that distracts you while you're playing poker, just turn it off. And for me personally, especially with this 10,000 hands in November, I find that when I have things on my to-do list or my honey-do list from my wife, if I don't do those things first before I start my session, they're going to drag on my mind, and I'm definitely not going to play as good a poker as I'd like. Now, the second part of your warm-up is a strategy review. So, of course, you're dedicated to improving your skills. There's got to be some piece of strategy that you're working on right now. Maybe you want to be a more successful 3-better. Maybe you want to learn to raise those donk betters and get them off their hand. Or maybe you want to be able to find the fold on the river. Whatever it is, I'm sure you've been studying, taking notes, practicing specific things. So when it comes to doing a strategy review as part of your warm-up, I actually have 3 suggestions for you. Now, I wouldn't do all 3 of these in any given warm-up time because I like my warm-up to just be 5 or 10 minutes long. But these are the 3 I recommend to you, and the first one is to just review your notes. So I imagine you have a poker journal, and as part of your studies, you're watching a video, listening to a podcast, reading an article. I'm sure you're taking notes, and then you take action and practice those things that you learned. So when you're reviewing your notes, just spend a few minutes looking over those notes in order to refresh yourself on the strategies that you're currently working on. And while you're looking at those notes, you can turn those notes into action steps that you can do as you play. For example, maybe you learned the 6 aspects to the perfect 3-bet bluff. Maybe just write those down on a sticky note and have a game plan of looking for those 6 aspects with every opportunity to bluff 3-bet. Doesn't matter what you have, 9 deuce off, ace 5 suited, jack 10 suited, somebody open raises, you have the opportunity to 3-bet bluff right now. So when they're all present, all 6 of those items, or maybe even 4 or 5, take action and pull the trigger. And of course, you could do something like use a tick sheet related to that strategy to help you stay focused on it throughout your entire session. Now, my second strategy review recommendation, this is the one I prefer the most, it's to do a hand reading exercise. So you want to choose a hand that went to showdown that pertains to your current strategy focus. Review the hand with Flopzilla Pro open, assign them that pre-flop range based on how they enter the pot, all the information you have on the opponent, and then narrow that range through the streets until you get to showdown. This is definitely going to prime your mind for great poker play. As an example, maybe you're working on double barrel bluffs. So go through your database, find a double barreling hand, either successful or not. Sometimes you double barrel and they fold, they're out of there. Sometimes you double barrel for value and you get their entire stack by the river. Sometimes you double barrel and then check call on the river and lose a big stack. Whatever it is, get to the showdown and then take that hand through the entire hand reading process and then pay particular attention to the point of the hand that involves your current strategy focus. So if it's double barrel bluffing, look at that turn, spend a ton of time analyzing that turn. Was that a good bluff to make or not? And if you want to learn how to hand read, on the show notes page for today, smartpokerstudy.com/pod464, there's an article or a link to an article on hand reading that teaches you the entire process. So read it, take notes, and then take action practicing hand reading off the felt and in game. But off the felt, that's where you're going to be using Flopzilla Pro to develop that intuition, that skill for hand reading. Now, my third recommendation for doing a strategy review as a warm-up is to restudy an item and visualize it. So maybe you found the perfect training video, the perfect podcast, the perfect article that teaches you great strategy. You've already studied it, you've already taken notes on it, you've already practiced some of those strategies as well. So restudy that training item as part of your warm-up. It's going to refresh you on the strategies, but don't just mindlessly consume it. Don't just sit there and play the video and watch through all 10, 15 minutes. Restudy that item and visualize yourself employing the strategies, and then also edit or add to your study notes as necessary, because let's assume you studied this thing, you've taken action and practice it in game. You've learned from practicing those strategies. When you restudy, rewatch, re-listen, reread it, you're going to have a little bit more experience now to potentially get more out of that item you're studying. So let's imagine you're working to find the fold on the river and you discovered a great video about folding pocket aces when it's obvious that you're beat. So as you rewatch it, visualize yourself putting your opponent on a pre-flop range. You're narrowing that range through the streets. Visualize yourself looking at your opponent's stats, gauging their player type, thinking about their tendencies, and then making a read on their play through the streets, but especially on that river, right? And the bet size that they use as well. Visualize yourself folding when you know you're beat, and hopefully you'll do it in the session you're about to play. Now it's time to take action because the ball is in your court. Prior to each of your next 5 play sessions, I want you to do the 2-part warm-up that I just gave you in order to play your best poker. I hope you find success with this 2-part warm-up over 5 sessions, and then, if you find success, you're more likely to continue it for session 6, session 7, and beyond through the rest of your poker journey.